Alright guys, so we're back with another video. So in this video I'm going to show you guys how to just render some templates to our Express application, because right now we don't really have anything on our home screen. So let's go ahead and do that. So if you guys don't know, Express allows you to handle the back end, and it also allows you to handle the front end, though typically most people use frameworks like React or Angular or Vue for larger applications. But if you have a very small application, you can just use Express for the front and the back end. But it's also important to know how to use Express for front end and rendering EJS templates. So I figured I would go over that. So let's go ahead. And first we need to install a template engine. So we're going to do npm install EJS. And EJS stands for embedded JavaScript, which allows us to use JavaScript to dynamically render. It allows us to use JavaScript and EJS allows us to use JavaScript to produce out the final template that we want to actually be shown on the HTML page. Okay, so we might have, so HTML itself is static, but we can also use an EJS template to dynamically render data that was fetched from the back end into the front end. Okay, and I'll show you guys how that works. But normally, when done in vanilla JavaScript, so it's more of like a pain, and it's much more annoying compared to using a templating engine. So anyways, okay, now that we have EJS installed, let's just go ahead and set up a quick route. So we're going to do app.get. So this is just going to be the home route. So we'll just leave that here. Okay, it's just going to be one route, and we're just going to do a res.send 200. If I save, and if I start up the application, let's see, we should get an OK. And now what we want to do is we want to set the view engine. So to do that, we're going to do app.set view engine, and we're going to set it to EJS. There are other view engines such as Pug and Jade, but EJS itself is one of my favorites. I've used it for a while. And yeah, you can kind of see right over here, like for example, they have some examples over here. We have an array called people, and what we're doing here is we are using EJS to render out that array joined into a string with commas and space. Okay, so the output would look, pretty much like one string instead of like an actual array object. All right, so after we set the view engine, we're going to go ahead and set the views folder. So what we want to do is we want to tell Express where we want our views to be located. So before we do that, let me just import path, and we're going to do path.join _ dir name views. So this is where we're going to have Express look for the views, and we're going to create that inside our source folder. Okay, because right now we're in app.js, right? Dir name is going to give you the current directory name, and since we're in app.js, right, we want to go to the directory that's in the same folder as app.js, which is the source folder. So we're going to create views inside here, and then we're going to create a simple template, call it home.ejs. Okay, so now let's go ahead and instead of sending 200, we're going to render home. Okay, and if I refresh, we need to, whoops. Oh, don't know what's going on there. Whoa, what the hell? Okay, there we go. Okay, so now if I refresh, what is going on here? Oh. Haven't had my morning coffee, guys. So anyways, yeah, there we go. We have our template being okay, there we go. So we have our template being rendered, but obviously there's nothing there. Okay, so we can obviously put some HTML in here. If I save, you're gonna see the title of the page is now document. And here's some other cool stuff too. Before we do anything else, let me show you guys how we can use EJS, because right now this is all HTML. So let's say, for example, if I have an array of users that I want to render onto this page, right? Let's say we have, like, let's say 5 users that we want to render on home.ejs. Instead of, having a bunch of div tags and then having, all of them out, right? We can, basically get the data on our Express application on the backend part, and then we can send it to home.ejs. So I'll show you how to do that real quick. So we're going to pass in an object as the second parameter and pretend we have fetched our data already and it's inside an array. We're going to go ahead and specify a user's property. And I'm just going to go ahead and pass in an object, an array of objects. So we do name, Anson, email, anson@gmail.com. And we'll have like a bunch of these. So we'll do name is Chris, email is chris@gmail.com. We can do name is Kelvin, and then email is kelvin@gmail.com. So again, like I said, you can pretend that this array of data is fetched from our database. Okay. And we can do one more. Name Drew, email drew@gmail.com. And of course, there could be other properties too. So we're sending this user's property into our template. And now I can render it. So let's go ahead and just create a UL tag. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and let me zoom in a little bit. We're now going to use EJS to iterate through this array and then dynamically render a list element for each one of them. So we're going to do %, and we're going to do users dot for each. So we're going to use the for each function to iterate. So we're going to say, let's see, for each user. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do an opening curly brace. Whoops, what did I do there? And we're going to close it up here. Okay. And down here, I'm going to close the curly brace and the parentheses down here. Okay. So again, it's literally looking like, JavaScript. And in between here now, so we're in the body of our callback function, we're going to do list element, and we're going to go ahead and do %, equals, because we're trying to get the value of the user. So we're going to do user.name, we're going to close it, and we'll separate it with a hyphen. That's not mandatory, but we're just going to do that just to make it look cleaner. And then we're going to do user.email. We're going to close it, and if we save, and we should be good to go. There we go, just like that. And let's say if I made some kind of post request, let's say we added a new user, and I wanted to display that as well, we can do something like Kelsey, email, kelsey@gmail.com, right? And we can see that's there. Okay, and we can add a whole bunch of data to our application. All right, and we can dynamically render it. And of course, you're not limited to just using list elements. You can use divs, you can use sections, articles, all kinds of stuff. And you can also apply styles to this list element so that it will look nicer. So hopefully this kind of gives you an idea of how these templating engines work. And it's kind of like the same thing of how the front-end frameworks work, except typically don't really use template engines, but you can do things like string interpolation, and the framework will take care of everything for you. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty cool. And so you can imagine, what if we had, let's say we wanted to send, like, our authenticated Discord user a list of all of the guilds that they're logged into. How would we do that? Okay, so hopefully this gives you guys some idea of how EJS works and how we can kind of like send data to the front end. In the next video, I'm going to show you guys how to just, simulate a login and log out. And we're going to also continue off with the EJS tutorial. So we're going to be building a custom template as well. So I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.